Hello YouTube. I'm going to show scripture that I think shows very clearly that the day of the Lord is very close, the return of Christ. If you look in the book of Isaiah, okay, Isaiah starting in chapter 13, verse 6, it says, "Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty." Okay, now, if you also look, chapter 13, verse 9, notice what it says here. "Behold, the day of the Lord comes, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it." The land he's talking about is Babylon. Okay? And if you read the chapter, you see that. Because in chapter 13, verse 1, it says, "The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see." It's talking about Babylon. Okay, if you study Isaiah 13 and Isaiah 14, you'll see that Isaiah is talking about the Babylon that existed thousands of years ago, but he's also talking about the mystery Babylon the Great in the end times, which is the United States of America. And the things that are happening back then are a shadow of what will happen to the United States of America. The day of the Lord, one of the things that's going to happen is mystery Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed. Okay, now what else is there in Isaiah that shows that this is very close to becoming true? If you look in Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1, it talks about something that you're seeing in the news right now. It says, "The burden of Damascus, Syria. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap." That is a prophecy that Damascus, Syria, is going to be destroyed. And look what's happening in Syria right now. This is March 2013. Syria is having a terrible civil war. And it's going to end up, Damascus is going to be destroyed. Okay, that's one thing happening in the news right now. The second thing, Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1 through 4. "The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians." They'll be fighting each other, just like you see in the streets right now. "And they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, the kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts." That's happening in Egypt right now. Okay? If you look in Isaiah 13, verse 11, it says, "I will punish the whole world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and they will lay low, and the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir." He's saying he's going to punish the entire world. Okay? Now, how does that fit into end times? If you look in the book of Joel, okay? The book of Joel, God's talking about judgment on the world. And I'm trying to turn there. He's saying in Joel chapter 3, verse 2, he says, "I will also gather all the nations, and will bring them down into the valley Jehoshaphat, That's a battle of Armageddon. And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. He's saying in this chapter that he will judge the whole world for dividing his land. Read Joel chapter 3 and you'll see that. Okay? And then Joel chapter 3:13, it says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Okay? And that cross-references to book of Revelation at the Battle of Armageddon. All right? So, in these same chapters that's talking about Egypt and what's going on currently in the news, and talks about Damascus and what's going on currently in the news, in the same chapter, he's saying he's going to punish the whole world with Armageddon. In the same chapter, he says he's going to destroy Babylon, which is Mystery Babylon. Then in Revelation 13:17, another interesting thing here that's current in the news, and there's a possibility, okay? Revelation 13:17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, talking about against Babylon, and shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans, excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. Notice the United States of America has been passing laws of same-sex marriage. Homosexuality is running rampant. There's people, famous people, saying, oh, I'm gay and all this stuff. That's part of prophecy. America will be overthrown like Sodom and Gomorrah because their sins will be similar. Okay. Now, Revelation 13:17, he says, this is the point I was going to make. He says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. Medes, okay, the four main world kingdoms, world empires. The first one was Babylon. The second one was the Medes and the Persians. The Persians conquered the Medes, and they made one world empire. After that, they were conquered by Greece, with Alexander the Great running it. Then after that, the Romans. The Medes is the same as Iran. The Persians are Iran. So the Medes and the Persians is Iran. And it's saying that God stirred up the Medes against Babylon back when Nebuchadnezzar ruled thousands of years ago. Maybe that's what's going to happen today. Because if you notice, currently in the news, Iran is doing their darndest to get a nuclear bomb. And you know, if they get one, they're either going to attack the United States or Israel. And real good chance they may hit the United States. All right. So, all these current events right here in Isaiah chapter 13, Isaiah chapter 17, Isaiah 19, all these current events happening. And what's listed right in the midst of them is that Babylon will be destroyed. And the United States of America is Mystery Babylon. God bless you.